Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Subculture Live. I am Sammy Jo, and I have a very special guest tonight. I have Larry Darnell. He is a pro men's physique competitor, and he's also a motivational speaker. So I'm excited to have him on for so many reasons. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Let me go ahead and bring him in. All right. Good evening, Larry. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Sammy?
I am good. You know, you're one of the few athletes that I actually call you by your name because you don't have some crazy Instagram handle.
Right. Right.
But before the show started, I did ask you what the 22 at the end of your Instagram name means. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, the 22, I'm a numerologist, so I study numerology, and the 22 is the master builder number. So it's a number that I've always seen it on the clocks. I've always seen it on license plates. It's a number that kind of followed me around. So I adopted it, put it in my Instagram handle as well.
See, there is always some hidden meaning in all of our Instagram names. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay. Now, let's talk about this. You've already hit the stage this season. And
Yes.
2 shows, correct?
Well, the Gator Classic, one show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, you just did the one. Okay, for some reason,
Yeah.
I was thinking you were at Marcus's show over in Tampa, but you sat that one out. You were there.
Yeah,
you
I
just
was
didn't
there. I
compete.
was physically there. Yeah, I was physically there. I watched the show. I was in Tampa that day. Yes.
You were out supporting.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Yeah.
So you got your one show out of the way this season. Now we're getting ready to go into the next 5 weeks are big for you. You have 2 shows coming up, and I think and they're big shows. You have the ANBF Nationals up in New Jersey.
Yep, Nationals in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's an incredible event. And then you have the Florida Pro down here in my neck of the woods, down here in Florida, June 3rd and 4th.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: how many years have you been competing as a men's physique competitor?
I've been competing since 2018.
Okay, so you're fairly new at this. Now,
fairly new.
How long did it take you to earn your pro card?
So I earned my pro card at NGA in 2018. So that's where I first met you. Was like I met you in NGA, and I remember you walked right up to me, and I remember, I thought you walked up to me because you recognized I was a little nervous, but you just kind of walked up to me, you introduced yourself, made me feel all warm and welcome. And I remember calming down after that. And then, but I realized that's just how you roll. You go around, you're the type of person that meets everybody, makes everybody feel good. You asking, hey, are you men's physique? Are you bodybuilding? And so that's just how you are. So I really appreciated, you coming up to me that day and doing that. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, of course. And then, okay, so that was in 2018. And then she was just telling you this before we went live. We've been missing each other since then because.
Right.
Yes, because 2020, I had just stepped down from promoting and then you jumped into a show. And then last year, you were supposed to be at the Florida Pro and some things came up. We got that all squared away because you're going to be there this year. So.
Right.
All good there.
Yeah, last year was kind of a trip year for me because I actually registered for like 10 different shows, and I only made one show, and so I know it's crazy. And I actually started preps for each one of the shows, and so it's just like something kept happening, and I got to the point where I was just like, maybe Most High got me in timeout or something because it was literally things that were beyond my control where I could not make the shows, and so. I'm telling people, hey, I'm gonna do the show. I'm gonna be at the show, and I'm like, they must think I'm a flake because I keep telling them I'm gonna show up, but then I never show up, and it was just something constantly happening. So, this year, and this is the thing about it too, because last year was one of the greatest, as far as I'm concerned. Last year was probably one of the greatest years in men's physique, men's natural physique competition ever. I mean, it was so many guys that came out the woodworks to compete, and it was like every show was just a really, really tough show. And here it is, I'm having to sit on the sidelines and I'm like, I can't go in the game. I can't go. I'm on the bench. I'm like, I can't go in the game. I can't play. I can't play. And so it was a last year for me was a humbling year. Most High really humbled me last year by blocking me from being able to go into those shows. So so this year, you know, I'm looking forward to every opportunity that I got on get on stage. I'm cherishing every moment, every second of it. And I'm bringing it this year.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to be at your next two events, so I'm very excited to see you on stage. Now, we have a Chris Sproul. Looks like he's in the chat there. Chris Sproul and you have a little bit of history. He's a men's physique
We do.
competitor. Yeah, you do. You guys were up against each other in 2020, shared the stage together. And then have you guys stepped on stage since then? I don't know.
Since 2020, we did a Gator Classic together,
Yeah.
and we did a couple of shows together. We were
Yeah.
both at a couple of shows. Yeah,
All right. All right.
yeah,
So you guys are going to be crossing paths a few times that I know of already this year. So that will be fun. Hey, it'll be a familiar face
awesome.
up on stage, right?
Yeah, definitely,
Oh
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You
It's
know,
it's that's actually more comforting than what people realize. When we go to a show and we see a familiar face backstage, it actually calms the nerves, despite what people may think. Like, the competition is welcomed in natural bodybuilding, I think, more than
yeah,
most sports.
yeah, definitely. It definitely is welcome. It's the brotherhood. You know, once you learn the
Yes.
guys and you know the guys, you like, yeah, look, I know Chris is always working. You know, and it just pushes you because you know that there's no days off with these guys. These guys aren't taking days off. These guys will do a
Right.
show on Saturday and then on Sunday will be right back in the gym. So, you know, I know that when I do a show and I'm 5 weeks out from the next show, I better be working like you because these guys are. So I look forward to the competition. I look forward to crossing paths again too. You know,
Yeah, yeah, for sure,
so
for sure. So, okay, so aside from competing, which I always refer, there's just this group of men's physique competitors, and I always refer to all of you as top level athletes because in my eyes, you guys truly are. And on any given day, the top three could change, and
right.
I kind of group you into that group of guys. So I'm glad you're in the race, as you say it, this year, off the bench. So we get to see, how you stack up. Now, with all of that said, you, what draws me, obviously, I love following athletes, and what draws me to your IG is you are constantly putting little bits of motivation out there because you
Right.
actually have a full, you have a full length podcast, a full feature podcast that you've now have. How many volumes out so far have you recorded?
Um, that's my motivational speaking albums. I have like
Yes.
six albums that are online right now.
That's incredible. So if you are following us on YouTube, I actually have a link to all of the platforms that you were on so people can go ahead and follow you there because
Awesome.
I think everybody needs a little motivation or a lot of motivation. And I think that podcasts are really, obviously they've exploded over the last few years, but I think they
Right.
continue to grow. Those platforms continue to grow. A lot of us are commuters. A lot
Right.
of us, right? We're at the gym, and we're not just listening to just music anymore. We're feeding our minds, and we're feeding like our souls, right? Like, we're listening to
Right.
to to people like you, like motivational
Right.
speakers and
Yeah.
or educational podcasts. I think those are really starting to come to the forefront. So yours is strictly motivational, but I have
Yeah.
to ask you, what drew you, or how did you find that calling?
Um, I found it calling it was actually it was kind of like so really my mother. This the
Okay,
short quick answer is my mother. My mother's a speaker
I love
also,
that. Okay.
and so so when I was young and we were riding in the car with my mother loved Joyce Myers. I mean, she loved her some Joyce Myers. She was always listening to Joyce Myers. So we, as little kids, me and my brothers, we be in the back seat. We be mad because we got to listen to this lady. We like, Mom, why we always got to listen to this lady? We got to listen to this lady all the time. You listen to her every day. You know what I mean? That was the lady that my mother really loved. So just listening to Joyce Myers and again, my mother, she gave me the book called Think and Grow Rich, and that was the book that She wanted me to read it. I had sat down. I remember I was in the floor reading the book, and within the first couple of chapters of the book, I remember just standing up to my feet, and I just felt this energy surging up and down in my chest.
Wow.
And I was just thinking to myself, I didn't really even know what it was at the time, but I remember thinking like this feeling right here, I want everybody to feel this feeling. I felt like the feeling was so amazing to me. And I remember thinking like I was just ready. I was just like, I'm just, I'm ready to climb a mountain. I'm just ready to transform myself. I'm ready to transform my life. And it was just from coming from something that I read. And
And
so
how old
I
were
had,
you?
I was 19.
Okay.
I was 19 years old. And so at age 19, I had made up in my mind, I said, I'm going to become a motivational speaker. And I wanted to be able to speak life into people. And I wanted to be able to use my voice to vibrate your chest, to make you feel that energy go up and down in your chest, just from the words that I said. And
Yeah.
so that was from reading Think and Grow Rich.
Oh my God, that is incredible. I love that story. Real
Yeah,
quick, I do have one question that Karen asked. I'm terrible at checking the comments, but she said, "What actually inspired you?" We're just gonna take one step back. What actually inspired you to compete? Okay, so you're 19 now. You're kind of getting into the motivational speaking. Like that's something you want to do. Did
right.
competing have an element to that for you? Did it play into that in some way?
Well, it was kind of like I kind of fell into it by accident, really. Um, so so let me back up. Let me explain why I started working out in the first place.
Okay, all
So
right.
I'm in my late 30s, and around 37, 36, 37, I'm 190 something pounds, and I'm getting my butt kicked in corporate America. I mean, I'm giving my job everything I'm giving it everything I got, what I mean? And it's to the point where I'm this close to throwing my engineering career away. I'm just close to just chunking it up and just saying I can't handle it no more. It's kicking my butt. I'm not happy. I'm not living the life that I want. I keep getting tried, and I don't know why I'm getting tried like this. And
Mm,
so I remember looking at myself in the mirror one day, and I said I need to make some changes. And as I was wondering like why I kept getting tried, when I looked at myself, I didn't really like what I saw, and I was like, this is why you're getting tried, because you look like this. And I realized at that moment that my inside really didn't match my outside. On the inside, I was this lion, I was this beast, but on the outside, I was this sheep. And
ah,
so I said, we got to make some changes. And I made up my mind then, and I said, I'm gonna start working out. We're gonna add some size to the physique. I'm gonna turn myself inside out and make my outside make my inside come to my outside. And so that's when I got serious about, get serious about training.
yeah.
I'm like 192 pounds, almost in my 40s. You know what I'm saying? Before I started, started training real heavy and being training real hard and started being consistent.
Right,
So,
and you have good
it's
height. You have good height.
yeah.
You're usually one of the taller competitors on stage, so I'm assuming you're probably like at least 6'2", 6'3",
Well, I'm 6'4".
6'4". Okay.
Yeah, I'm 6'4". Yeah, and with a 6'4" physique with long arms and long legs, you got to really work. You
You
got to
do.
really work to develop. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if I was playing basketball, if I was playing football, I got an advantage in football or basketball. But in the
Yeah.
sport of bodybuilding, being 6'4", that kind of hurts you. So
Right, right.
I got my work cut out for myself. But I'm a worker. I'm an
Yeah.
engineer. You ain't gonna outwork me. You're
Yeah.
not you're not gonna outwork me. So I'll figure out what I got to do to make my body look like it needs to look.
That's awesome. That's great. No, so you really did. You are, I guess, it's a late bloomer as far as like getting into the health and fitness. But man, did you like
Yeah,
take it and run like amazing? And
yeah,
then taking it, like you said, taking it to the competitive level, becoming a pro, and now stepping on stage with that elite group of guys. I love that.
yeah.
Um, so I want to get back to the motivational speaking. So 19 years old, you were inspired. Your mom is a speaker as well. Now,
Right.
we mentioned that you had 7 albums out. When did you like record your first one, and how did that feel?
Okay. So I've been wanting to be a motivational speaker ever since I was 19, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my guy was Les Brown. Les Brown
Mm-hmm.
was my guy. I thought Les Brown was the smoothest talking brother in the world. I wanted to be like Les Brown. He was a DJ. I wanted to be a DJ growing up. So I just every aspect of his motivational speaking game I just loved and wanted to be him. And so I would practice trying to be like Les Brown and talk like Les Brown. And so in So I was telling a friend of mine back in 2003 that I wanted to, be a motivational speaker, but I was like, anytime I go to write something, I have a problem writing. So she said, well, why don't you get a tape recorder? You talk pretty good, and just talk into the tape recorder, and then you can write it down later. And I was like, you know what? That's a pretty good idea. So I went and got a tape. I went like that day to the store, had bought a tape recorder, and from that moment on, I had always just practiced anytime I felt, inspiration, or anytime I got a word or an idea, I would just practice talking into the tape recorder. And so it just became a habit to do that. And so I started doing that in
Mm-hmm.
2003. And I would never really listen to any other, like I would fill the tape recorder up. It would hold like 2 gigs worth of data, which is like 64 hours worth of talk. So I would fill it up, and I would just take it, and I would never really listen to none of it because I wouldn't sound like Les Brown. Here it is. I'm trying to sound like Les Brown. I don't sound like Les Brown. So anytime I hear
Oh.
myself, I don't really like it. And so in 2017, I'm on my laptop one day, and my laptop is saying, "Hey, I don't have any more memory," and I'm trying to figure out what's taking up all my memory, right? So whenever I put these recordings on my laptop, I would just tuck it anywhere. I didn't care where I did put it, wasn't organized. I just put it anywhere. So I was like, oh man, it's just all these little bum recordings. That's what I was calling them, bum recordings. I was like, these bum recordings is there. And so then I started listening to some of it, and it was just making me cringe. And so I just started deleting a bunch of it, right? So then I just like hit play on one, and I go to the bathroom, and I come back, and it's playing. And when I'm listening to it, it's like my voice, but I got music playing in the background, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it played, and I was like, man, that sounded kind of good. And then the next track came on, and I was listening. And as I started listening to it, I was like, man, if I didn't know no better, I would swear you talking to the beat, man. And then I was like, then another track came on, and then the third track that came on, it was like I was talking. I don't know when I recorded it. I don't know what I was on when I was saying it, but I was fired up when I was saying it. And when I was speaking it, it was like I'm hearing myself as if I'm hearing it for the first time. And I was feeling that energy on the inside. Like I was feeling ready. And I was just like, yo, this like I was listening to the sound of my own voice, and I was getting hype off of what I heard. And I was like, yo, this is motivating. And then a light bulb went off. It was like all of this time you've been trying to sound like Les Brown. You've been like, you've been comparing yourself to this man, and it's like you got your own sound, and that's how a lot of us are. We want to be somebody else. We're trying to be a copy of somebody else that we highly admire, not realizing the specialness and the uniqueness that we bring to the table. So you got to learn to value yourself. And that's what, you know, the reason I would cringe when I heard myself is because I stutter. I stutter sometimes. Sometimes like my mind, I want to talk about five different things at the same time, and I get overwhelmed, and I have all of these pauses, or I chop words up, or I say things in a crazy way. And so I had to give myself permission to stutter, give yourself permission to just be scattered, give yourself to just whatever comes out, just let it come out and don't judge the flow, just let it be. And so I learned to just kind of like, I got my own brand, I got my own style,
That's
and
it.
it works over a beat. You
That's
give
it.
me you give me a beat track, and I'm gonna make something out of it.
Oh man, that is great. So, did you use any of those old recordings? Did you repurpose any of them for some of like the content that you have put out on some of your albums?
Oh,
Or
most definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
most definitely. A lot of those recordings are old as hell.
Oh my gosh,
They are, yeah, they was like they the warm ups. They ain't the bag. They ain't the work. They the warm ups. Like if you like my
okay.
warm ups, then you gonna like when we get to the work.
Oh
Because
wow.
I was trying to figure the process out. I was trying to figure out how do I put the albums online. How do I get it recorded? How does the digital service providers work? So I was just messing around. So let me back up because you said how did you first get started? So in
Yeah.
2017, I made a demo album, and when I
Nice.
made that demo, I had let my family and my friends hear it, and they was like, "Yo, I like it." Like
Mhm.
it took me a month and a half to make it, and then when I let them hear it, they had consumed it so fast that it was like, "I like that. Give me some more." And so then that's when I realized, what I mean? That's the world we live in now. It's like
Yeah.
you can't just make an album and sit on one album. You got to keep dropping album after album after album. So I got like 4 albums stacked up now that I'm like trying to, that are just sitting there waiting. for me to
Like,
just drop them. But that's just
right.
because when I get into a workflow, I'm like, well, let me just keep working and keep developing. And then once I'm like, okay, I hit like a little creative pause, then I'm like, okay, let me drop these albums. And so,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm realizing that when I drop one album, people are consuming it so fast that I got to keep it, keep it coming on a consistent basis. And that's the feedback I'm getting right now is people saying, hey, you got to be more consistent on your drops. So I'm trying to get
Yes.
it to where I'm dropping at least once a month.
Right. Kind of stockpile it, yeah, and then just
Yeah,
yeah, portion it out over to. Oh, that's smart. That's smart. Wow, that is great. So I do have to ask you this. So you are, you're speaking. How much of that is through your own experiences, your own life experiences, and how much of that is things that you have learned or picked up through listening to other people or reading books or things of that nature? Like, how much of it is all of it just coming from your life experiences and things that you've gone through, and is that how you, because I mean, I've listened to some of, a lot of your stuff, and it's
right.
so, there's just so much, like you said, it's so deep. Where are you pulling that from?
I mean, this is coming from me. This is my life. I'm giving you my life, my passion, my pain, my frustration,
Yeah.
my I mean, you getting it all. I mean, that's why it
Yeah.
sounds the way it sounds. It's real, it's authentic. I'm not talking to you about something I don't know. I'm talking about
Right.
I'm talking to I'm telling you something I experienced. And so that was the thing, man. I had prayed to the Most High and I asked the Most High, I was like, make me that motivational speaker. And when I
Mm.
did that, right after that, my life got really, really hard. And after looking back on it, I was like, well, why did it get so hard? And it was like the Most High is like, look, I'm gonna have to take you through everything
Yeah, it
that
was your
you're
answer.
gonna be speak. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take you through everything that the people that you're gonna speak through gonna be going through. I'm gonna take you through that first. Then you can speak to when different people are having these life challenges, you can speak to it from a position of authority. And really
Mm-hmm.
be able to relate and connect to folks. So when people listen to my work, like even if you ain't trying to listen to me, if I get you for a couple seconds, I got you. You'll be like 4 or 5
Yeah.
tracks later. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because I'm addicted. You know
And
what I mean?
yeah, no, you do, and that's why I kind of was taken back when you said you hated listening to yourself. You didn't like your speech
Yeah,
pattern and this, that,
I
and the other thing.
didn't. I
Because
did not.
I think you have a great, like, nice deep voice. I think you speak very well, and it's enjoyable to listen to, especially like
Thank
your
you.
voice
Appreciate that.
fluctuation and everything. So my next question was. See, I get off topic here. The hold on. So we got the albums. They're coming out. They're rolling out. Your clips that you put on social media are fantastic. Always well received by your followers. Um, this is what I was gonna say. So the thing I love about it is when you are listening to these things, um, it's so relatable. Like, people are able to, from all walks of life, are able to listen to
Hmm.
it and really relate to whatever it is at that moment that they are experiencing or they are going through. So I feel like all of the clips that I have seen, I can listen to and got a little dark in here. I can listen to and relate to what I'm going through at that moment in my life. And that's one of the things I love about listening to that kind of motivational content is
Okay.
it can pull you out of what it is that you the individual are dealing with, even though it's so broad, right? Even though it
Right.
might not be the exact scenario that you went through, I can still relate to it, and it can still be a positive for me. So yeah, so I do. I appreciate all of the content, and I know the work behind it. Like you were saying, learning how to record and learning how to get it on different
Right.
platforms.
Yeah.
I respect all of that hustle because
Yeah.
it's tedious,
Yeah.
and it doesn't
Yeah.
happen by itself.
That's right. That's the mountains to climb. And even with me trying to drop multiple albums, I got a producer, my sound engineer. He's a guy I'm working with this in Germany, and the guy that makes my beats, he's in Poland. So it's just like, yeah, it's an international affair.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that. I
yeah. But I
love
mean, just
that.
coordinate with everybody and trying to get everything to work right. And That's why I'm like I had to stack up a few albums to kind of like create some space to be able to plan, plan these drops better. So I'm learning. It's a process, so I'm learning the process.
Yeah,
We each are learning each other how to be efficient, that kind of thing, how to work together. So it's good.
yeah, because that was actually one of my questions was what is the process like? Because I always hear people, they go, I want to start a podcast, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And it's like, okay, but there's always a process. You don't
Oh
just
yeah,
pick up a
definitely.
microphone and go for it. So now yours is even next level, right? Because you were actually can people get like hard copies of your content as well?
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to, yeah,
Yeah.
you could go to the DSPs and physically download a. You're talking about like if they wanted to download the actual
Yeah,
instead of streaming,
yeah,
yeah, they could
exactly.
download. Yeah, you could go
Yeah.
to digital stores and download. Yeah, definitely,
So
definitely.
cool. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So walk us through like an abbreviated version of that process. Because some people are probably thinking like when they go to your Instagram page, that you're just kind of sitting in your back office like recording these little clips, right? Like on your computer. But I
Right,
think there's a lot more that
right.
goes into it.
Yeah, yeah. I got like a studio in my crib that I do the vocals in the studio, and I mean it's it's a lot to go. It sounds like it's simple, right? But
Right.
it is a lot of work. It's a lot of hours to go into that. At one point when I first was making the albums, I had actually calculated it took me 72 hours of time. You know what I mean, to just make one album. And now I'm like, practicing to refine that process as I go. But it's I love it, right? It's I have a passion for doing this, so I would do it for free, and I have done it for free actually. I've been making these motivators since 2003, and whether I had loaded anything on a digital service provider or not, I'd still be making these motivators because, I tell people all the time I'm gonna become the greatest motivational speaker alive, and I believe that one, because that's the affirmation that I have told myself millions of times to believe, but the other reason is this. I'm the greatest motivational speaker of all time because I know how to motivate me. Not because I motivate y'all, because I can motivate me. Because that's what it's really
Right.
about. A lot of us are so used to listening to thousands of voices, right? We're getting advice from this person and that person. And it's like walking
Yes.
into a room where there's 1,000 radios playing, right? It's like, what do you really listen to? What are you really focused on? You're listening to too much. You're focusing on too much. So it's like you're not really able to do anything. And out of 1,000 radios, you need to just get rid of those 1,000 and really just focus on that one sound. And that one sound needs to be your own sound. See, a lot of us are
Right.
not on our own team. We want everybody else to be on our team and everybody else to root for us and everybody else to cheer for us. But we're not on our own team. You got to be on your own team. Like your number one fan should be you. You got to be on your number one fan. You got to love you first. You got to appreciate you first. You got to show up for yourself first, long before anybody else does that. You got to believe in you first, and I believe in me. You know what I mean? So when you think like as fighters, when we in a fighter and we fight these fights, when you get knocked down on that ring and you face down, that crowd is like them 1,001 radios. Your trainer, your wife, your husband, your mother, your father, all of that in the background is just in the
Right.
background. The only thing that really matters is what are you saying to yourself? Are you telling yourself, hey man, you got it in you to go on and get up one more time and fight some more in this fight? Or are
Right.
you telling yourself, hey man, what did I tell you? I told you it's gonna get knocked out. And some of us are like that. I've been like that. I used to wake up in the morning like that sometimes,
Right.
where my mind is speaking bad to myself, right? And it's like in 3D sound where you hear it loud and clear. And so it's it's one of those things where you got to learn to talk to yourself. You got to learn to motivate yourself. You got to learn to speak to yourself in such a way where you can get the best out of yourself. And that's and that's
Absolutely.
the and that's the power of the self motivation. So a lot of these talks and a lot of these motivators that I create is really me talking to myself. What I say to myself, how I think and how I process. You like by me sharing these experiences and by me sharing these talks and these ideas, you're getting into the mind of what it took for me to go and graduate and get an engineering degree from a historically black college. What it took to go and work in corporate America for 2 decades and still be standing after I took all those butt whoopings. You know what I mean? to be able to go and get a professional engineering license where I'm an engineer that's licensed in 8 different states, which is rare. You know what I mean? So I'm I'm now going into men's physique bodybuilding. I mean, I'm now going into
Right.
bodybuilding, taking that same engineering hustle and that same engineering work ethic, and I'm gonna apply it to my men's physique. You know what I mean? I'm a dominate in this sport. My goal is to be one of the top guys in this sport. So at 6'4", the top guys at 6'4". And I know I got my work cut out for me, but everything I've ever did in my life has been a mountain for me to climb. So I'm used to
That's
climbing
right.
mountains. I'm used to overcoming things. So I realize that the Most High put me through these challenges to show me who I am, and that's what He does for a lot of us. A lot of us don't realize that when you have fall on those hard times, when you have those challenging situations, when you get that kick in the mouth or that kick in the butt over and over and over, and you take it, and you still standing and you still alive, then that's the Most High showing you what's inside of you. You know what I mean? He's showing you what he made, how strong He made you. It's like, how else would He be able to show you what He put inside of you other than challenging you with that? You know. So
Yes. No, 100%. No, I love that. And you answered a lot of my questions, and I just feel motivated after that whole monologue. I
I
feel
appreciate
motivated.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. That's funny.
Oh, it's great. It's
That's
great.
funny.
So that
That's
answers my
funny.
all my other questions was like basically how do to be a motivational speaker, where do you draw your inspiration and motivation from? But there you go. It's inside you, and it's through all of the things that you have gone through in your life, and you
Yeah.
connect and share. So um okay, another question I had are do hobbies aside from competing and aside from motivational speaking, do you it looks like you might travel quite a bit. Is that something I
Yeah,
see?
I love I got a thing for beaches. I love the beach. Love going
Beach.
to the beach. I love
Okay.
scuba diving. I'm a scuba diver, certified scuba diver.
I
Uh,
that was on my notes. I was like, "Oh, I got to get
yeah.
some info on that."
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I cherish every day that God gives me to move around, and I try to treat like each day like it's my last day. And so when you look at my IG page, what you really are seeing
Yes.
is my manifestation of my ideas, like what I focus on, what I visualize. And because, you know, we're creators too, and whatever you put into your mind is going to manifest. So I'm always thinking about the water. I'm always thinking about a beach. I'm always thinking about going scuba diving or fishing. When is the next time I'm gonna be able to do that? Because, when COVID hit, like I
Yeah.
was used to taking a dive trip every couple of times a year, going
Okay.
diving. And so when COVID hit, it was like, the dive trips that I had planned, some of them got pushed out as much as 2 years. A couple of them I paid the money and then couldn't go because, I didn't know if I got out the country, if I could get back in the country. And so I realized then that that's a part of who I am. It's
Eh,
me diving, me being around water,
They like your
me
boss shirt.
That's funny.
So I have
Me
to
being
I
a
have to ask you about this just real quick on scuba diving. Like, can you describe that sensation, especially with the voice that you have in your mind? Like when you're under the water and you're just all you hear is like your breathing apparatus and just the bubbles, and it's like
yeah.
just you in the water and that sound. How is that? Like, what does that feel like for you? Like you said, now all the voices are completely shut out. Like, is
Right,
that
yeah, definitely. It's the most amazing meditative experience you will ever experience because all of when you go down into that water, it's just that the world noise goes away. You don't hear no
gone?
noise. Everything is gone. And when you down there, even if you down, like I'm down diving, I might be diving with 10 people or 20 people, but it's still just like kind of like you down there by yourself in terms of
Yeah.
just being in your mind. And it's funny because I had a friend of mine. She actually dragged me to go scuba diving. I was
Okay.
I was not trying to when she said, "Hey, she's like, "Hey, I want to come down to Florida. Can I crash at your crib? Um, I can come down there and get certified over a weekend. Let's go." And I said, "Yeah, you can come on down." But I wasn't
Right.
intending to go with her. Yeah, I was just, I was thinking I was gonna let her stay in my place. But she
Right.
was like, "No,
Right.
you gotta come with me. I need a buddy." And I was like, "I don't do that. Black people don't do that." What are you? But we don't scuba dive. We don't go in the water like that. And she was like, "It's gonna be okay." And I was like, "Nah, we don't do that." And so she twisted my arm and I went. And it was kind of amazing because scuba diving is one of those things where when you go down the first time, you either gonna love it or hate it right then and there. You either gonna love the experience, or you're gonna hate the experience. And if you hate it, you'll never do it again. If you love it, you'll do it forever, right?
Right.
And so I remember we were it was some springs in Florida where we were getting certified, and it was just like this long stairway where you got to walk down. And I remember like she's in front, I'm behind her, and I'm walking down, and my heart is just beating the inside of my chest up. And all I'm thinking to myself is, I don't want to do this. We don't do this. Black people don't do this. Why are we doing this? You know what I mean? And so as we walking down them stairs, um, it's like the point of no return. And I'm thinking like all she got to do is just turn around and say, "Yo, I don't want to do it," and we can go. And I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, let's get out of here." But she took
Good for
that step,
her.
and then I was like, "Oh man, now I gotta go." And I took the step right behind her, and I remember like I just started sinking down, and I'm holding my breath. And as I'm watching the surface of the water go like further and further away, I'm like, "What are you doing?" I start to panic. And when I did, like the air shot in my mouth from the regulator, and I started breathing. And then I was just like, "This is the greatest thing
All
ever." You know what I
right.
mean? I was just like, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable. I can actually breathe underwater." And I'm watching fish swim by. And I'm just like, "This is the best thing ever." And so when I finally came up to the surface, I was just feeling like $1 million. I was just like, I don't know where this has been in all my life. I love this. And I
Right.
remember seeing her face. And when I saw her face, I was just like, "No, don't tell me. Don't tell me that you didn't like that." And she was like, "I did not like that." And so,
Really?
yeah. So
What a
she
turn
took,
of fate, right? It was
yeah,
her
I
idea.
know, right?
And
I know. Yeah, because if it wasn't
she
for her, I would not be diving today. You know what I mean? And that's the power of learning to be willing to try new things, right?
Mhm.
A lot of things we prejudge it as being, a certain kind of way, and we don't give it a chance. But hey, you never know what's gonna light you on fire. I mean, scuba diving lit me up. Yeah, because I was like,
Wow.
where has this been all my life? And it's been the most amazing experience, and it's put me around the most amazing people and traveled to some of the most exotic locations
Yes.
just because I'm around other people that have a passion for diving. And so these
Oh
people are not just
yeah.
going to
Mm-mm.
the resort type dives. They're going to some really remote locations that are hard to get to dive. And so I've been really blessed as a
Yeah.
result of that. So yeah, I'm looking at, I got a trip in May to go to the Cayman Islands. I can't wait. I'm like a kid in a
Yes.
candy store right now.
Yes, and I heard that's some of the most beautiful diving. So I'm a frequent cruiser, right? Like we cruise a lot, and you would be shocked at the amount of people that I meet on cruise ships that are literally just there to dive. Like they could care
Mm,
less about
yeah.
everything else, but they're
Right.
just there for the destinations, for the ports, and then they get off the ship and they go dive, and like that's their thing. um and I've met like a lot of people that, so these cruise ships, it's really funny because you meet a lot of different people on there as well,
Yeah.
but diving is definitely one of the experiences that people show up to do. And I think I think my son might be interested in getting
Oh, is that right? You
certified
get
in
it
diving.
in
Yes,
diving.
because
Yeah. Yes, yes,
what do
man. Yes, yes.
they play around with like the snorkeling, right? But that's just scratching the surface. You're like, well, I'm
Right,
up
right.
here and all
Nah.
the action's down there. I want to
Yeah.
like be
Yeah.
submerged in it. And so that's definitely something. I mean, he's only 13, but that's something that he is looking into, that he wants to, I think, be involved in.
Yeah.
And with all the traveling that we do, like you said, the places it will take him and the things that he'll be able to see um, while we're there. I mean,
Right.
he's
I mean,
got to
it's
capitalize on that, right?
yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, if he's got a bug for it, I definitely would push him towards it because it's being in the water is like being on another planet, and it's just
Yes.
you don't. I mean, when you go to an area, you see all of the different types of fish that are underneath the water. I mean, it's breathtaking.
So
I've
I
been to
have to
dive sites.
ask, have you seen a shark? Have you seen anything that's like really
Yeah,
got your heart beating?
I mean, I've been around sharks. I got some sharks posted on my IG. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've that where I just came when I well, not where I just came from, but last year I went to Cuba, and so the whole time we was
Ooh.
in the water, like the little nurse sharks and reef sharks, they followed us around the whole time. So it's just like at first when I first started diving, I was like, hey, y'all need to stay away from me. You know what I mean? I ain't, trying to fool with no shark. But I'm like, I see a shark now. It's just I'm so used to it that you it's just now I'm on guard. Don't get me wrong, I ain't stupid, but
Right, right,
I'm not saying, hey, come over here, let me pet you real fast.
right. Sure, sure. There's a mutual respect there, always.
Right, mutual, definitely, yeah, definitely mutual respect. So
Got it. Got it. Wow, that's a great story too. So I'm so glad we had a chance to do this.
yeah, me too, definitely.
So
Because I
fun.
see you, I'm seeing you do your thing, and I really love it because you're promoting the sport, you help me to take it to another level, and even with your reels, your reels make, I mean, it's just like you put us out there like we some superstars for real,
You guys
and
are.
I love it, because the angles and that you catch and the quality of your video is definitely next level. You definitely got a gift with the
Thank
camera and a gift with
you.
presenting things. So I like it. I like it a lot. I want you to
Thank
keep
you.
keep it up. So whatever I
Thank
can do to
you.
support, I'm a
Aw,
fan. I'm definitely
I
a fan.
I appreciate that. And this is going to be our closing question because we talked about this
Okay.
before we went live. And with that being said, that's one of the questions that I get all the time, not just from my husband, but from everybody. Samantha, what is your purpose with everything that you're doing here? What is your ultimate goal? I'm always asked that because it's no secret that what I do is very much volunteer work, right? A
Right.
lot of the shows I go to, with the exception of Ken Beerley, he always reimburses me. But most of the work that I do, I volunteer, and my live streams are free, right? That doesn't when I am live streaming for free, that doesn't mean that I'm obviously I never stop upgrading my equipment
Right.
or my
Right. Right. Exactly.
right. So that
Right.
is
Investing in your craft.
there is no what's the word? I always hate when people use this phrase. Oh, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That phrase
Right.
does not even take up space in my brain because there's always room to improve and there's always something that can be better. So anyway, with that said, my answer is always like for me it's not about the money as much as it is about the gratification I get by bringing like our natural bodybuilding community together, and just seeing everybody kind of enjoy everyone else's journeys like together, right?
Right.
And supporting one another, and even just like the athletes that are watching right now, like I love that. So for you, what is your ultimate goal, and what is like your form of payment for you with all of the motivational speaking that you do? Because like you said, corporate America wasn't always that gratifying for you.
Right. Right.
So what were you looking to get from the motivational speaking side of your kind of career?
I want to see everybody win. I'm that kind of brother. You know what I mean? If you get a new car, I'm happy for you. You get married, I'm happy for you. You get a promotion at your job, I'm gonna be cheering for you. I'm the type of
Sure.
person that if you get it, then it inspires me that I'm gonna have great blessings too. Some people get jealous. They think that if you get a new car, that's one less car out there in the universe for them to get, right?
Right,
And
right.
so I want to see everybody win, and I want to see everybody to become the best versions of themselves. And I just realized that you can put a lot of energy in a lot of other people, or you can put energy in yourself. You can be the change. You can represent yourself and elevate yourself to a degree where you ain't got to tell people to go read. You ain't got to tell people to go study. You ain't got to tell people to go work out. You ain't got to tell people to do anything. All you got to do is just walk into the room. And that's where I'm trying to get myself to, is the level where I just walk into the room and inspire you just by the way I walked in. You know what I mean? And my family and friends have saw me. They saw me when I was 190 pounds. They saw me transform myself. They saw me and continue to watch me constantly transform myself. They know that from 1 year to the next, from one month to the next, they can contest and testify that I'm never the same. I'm always evolving and I'm always changing. I'm always putting in work, energy, and effort. I'm never stop working. I'm an engineer. I'm always working. That was the one thing that was the blessing and the curse from corporate America, is they cracked the whip so hard on me that it trained me to constantly be working, to always
Mm-hmm.
be, grinding. So I'm just taking that same engineering hustle that I applied on fixing generators and transformers and breakers, and now I'm putting it in men's physique. I'm putting it in herbs and nutrition. I'm putting it in, how to detoxify the body. and
Yeah.
just different aspects where I have a way of looking at things that's very unique, and
Mm-hmm.
so nobody's going to look at it like I quite like I look at it. So I actually feel like it provides me with an advantage. So
Absolutely. Yeah. That is true. So you're kind of self-made too, it sounds like, in this whole fitness
yeah,
industry. You've done
well, I
your
mean, yeah,
research and your homework, and do you prep yourself and everything?
I
You
do, and
do.
the
Okay, I
reason.
was getting that from what you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, and I do
Wow.
because I'm always trying to I'm trying to learn. So if you
Right.
tell me to do something, I'm gonna be like, why? I'm gonna why you to death.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're a coach that don't know why you doing a certain thing or you can't explain to me, I'm gonna lose interest real quick. So I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
like, nah, I gotta know why we doing what we doing.
No, that's
Why why you say take asparagus?
right.
Why you say the green tree extract, or why you say you want the steak versus the bison, or the bison versus the steak. You got to tell
Sure.
me why. Why am
Sure.
I taking this?
That's how your mind works. That's the
Yeah,
engineering side of your
yeah,
mind.
that's it.
You got to
Yeah,
know
I want to
how.
learn. I want to learn all the time, and so if I can learn from you, I'll sit at your feet all day. But if
Hmm.
if you telling me you can't tell me why, and it's just something that you learn from somebody else, that learn from somebody else, that learn from somebody else, I'm like, I'll figure out my own why then. I'll figure it out myself.
Aw. So thank you, Smith Fay Training. He's enjoying this. He's enjoying listening to you. You are a cool
Oh,
dude,
awesome.
Larry. You are a cool dude.
I appreciate that, man. Smith.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, like I love that you're training yourself and you're coaching yourself. So every year you're improving. So I'm assuming that you're tweaking, you're dieting, you're tweaking your training. So you're like evolution. You said you're constantly evolving, and you must find a lot of like joy and self gratification in that as well. Um,
Yeah, I'm a student. I'm a student. I love learning. I just
yeah,
like that was one of the things. The way my mother raised me and my brothers is, to always read, always study, always learn, never stop learning.
yeah.
My mother is somebody even now. She's it ain't nothing to go into her room and see Spanish vocabulary words painted on the mirror, on the door, and everything else. She recently picked up to play the piano. So she's always been
Oh
an example
wow,
in my life to constantly learn and constantly make your like never literally never stop learning. And so
sure.
I got that from her, you know what I
I
mean?
love it.
And that's how I am. I'm always studying something or reading something.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
getting knowledge.
So I just one more question. Do you have a group of people, or do you have people that you follow, or books that you have read, like in as far as like diving into the fitness industry? Any certain person or articles or anything that stands out to you that you said, you know what, that's a good nugget, like, or these are good nuggets, or these this is good information, or are you just kind of grabbing it from everywhere? I
Well, I
always
mean,
just wondered.
yeah, I pull from, like Serge Nubrit. That's my, I'm trying to get it back like Serge. Yeah, working to get that. But I pull from everybody, anybody.
Yeah,
I can learn from anybody. You know what I mean? I
sure,
don't discriminate who I learn from.
sure, sure.
I definitely like to study like the old school bodybuilders, though.
Cool.
Arnold, the guys back in the day, because I feel like your bodybuilders, when it came to the nutrition, when it came to the supplements, I mean, these guys were on the cutting. They were on the cutting edge. And a lot of
Right.
the stuff that they used to do, we've gotten away from,
Yeah.
and it worked back in the day because these guys not only were look bigger, but they were strong too. A
They
lot of
were.
guys nowadays just look big, but they're not really strong. And those guys were strong, back in the day. So they lifts were monster lifts. And I never really wanted to be a really big guy. I always
Oh,
wanted to
it's
be the
core killer.
strongest.
It's core
The
killer.
strong.
That's who we're talking. That's who is
Oh,
talking. Ah,
oh, that was Core Killer. What's up,
yeah.
Core Killer? Yeah, that's a
Yes.
good dude, man.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fun
he was
fact:
cutting up.
Larry beat me at the 2021 NGA a West Coast Classic when Arius Norris won. Marcus was second. I was fat. No, you weren't, but I do remember that show. I do very much so remember that
Yeah,
show.
yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that's great. No, yeah. So you're right, though. The old school. You know what I always tell people about the fitness industry? I love the old school as well. I loved their physiques, and like you said, they were strong. But I always feel like everything has to be um, packaged up and rebranded, right? Like resold.
Right.
So you tend to see like the same, like I've been in fitness now since I was like 14. So I've seen like the same things with just different names. It's almost like they do that. So then you got to buy a different book, right? Or
Right.
but it's like
Right.
the same information. Yeah. So, and nowadays I am seeing more science-based things coming about, but really it's still a lot of the same stuff, just with a
Yeah. It is.
lot of those like more scientific terms kind of attached to
Yeah.
it and like studies and things of that nature. But very much of it is still the same. But it's funny, like, because I'm 44, like, so I've been around for a while and seen a lot of different things. But yeah, no, I love that's kind of like where you gravitate towards. So that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
because
good.
it's just like you
It's
said.
awesome.
It's just the same. It's the same old thing being rebranded, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's getting to the point where if somebody didn't write a paper about it, if they didn't write a study about it, people like, well, that ain't true, or it don't happen. And I'm like, man, a lot of the studies, you know what I mean? You got to look at who's doing the study, and then when they do
Right.
the study, you got to pay attention to the details of the study, not just read the abstract and the conclusion. You know what I mean? You
That's
got to really
right.
dig deep if you really want to know the answers. So it's yeah, but I'm more like, look, the old school bodybuilders had it going on. They were making it happen, and a lot of this because
Mm-hmm.
we can overcomplicate stuff, man, and it
Yeah.
ain't that serious. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
we know how to do what we do.
That's true. That's true. All right, awesome. Well, this was so much fun. Is there anything else now? For everybody watching, I do want to know, tell you that I do have his links to all of his podcast platforms in on the YouTube channel. It's up in the comments and to your IG account. Obviously, the IG is right here as well, Larry Darnell .22. So you guys follow him. Lots of good stuff coming. Not just on the motivational side, but also on the sports side, on the body, men's physique
Yeah,
side.
definitely.
Yes,
Get your
and I
popcorn.
yes, get your popcorn. So
Yeah,
I will
get your popcorn.
see
Yeah,
you.
definitely.
I will see you May 20th,
May
in
20th.
Asbury Park, New Jersey. Which, by the way, is bring your selfie stick for sure, because
Okay.
that entire area. Where do you live now? Are you in Florida?
Yeah, I'm in between Florida and Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. So the it's like a very historical area. It's almost like it has been rebuilt, right? So trying to think of places similar to it. Like Church Street Station is a place down in Orlando that kind of reminds me of that vibe, but there's a lot of like exposed brick and all those little cute outside dining areas, and everybody has their dog with them. It's
I
just
got you. I got you.
yeah, it's just a really quaint area. So as soon as you walk out of that theater, out of that venue, it's just like I think at night they even shut down the roads so people can just kind of walk around, and
Oh
it's just
wow, that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a cool vibe, and it's just lots of everything is beautiful. Like all the backdrop behind you is just very beautiful, and you're gonna love it. So. And then, of
Okay. All
course,
right.
the
Yeah.
actual theater. I know you've seen a lot of the content I put out has the
Right.
exposed brick behind the stage, like to the side of the stage. It's just so pretty. The architecture is gorgeous. So we're gonna get tons of content, and I'm excited to see you up there on that stage. And will this be the first time you've met Kent Beerley?
It will be. It will be.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. You're gonna love him. He might have a surprise
Okay.
for everybody. I don't know if I
Okay.
can announce it. I'm gonna let him announce it, but he may have a surprise at that event. So we'll have to be on the lookout for that.
Okay. Looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it. So, hey, I appreciate you
Yes,
reaching out to me and
yes.
having
This
me.
was so fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time.
Yes. All right. Well, I will be seeing you soon. Everybody have a wonderful night. I know a lot of the athletes are going to be watching this while doing cardio. So thank you guys for the support as always. And I'll be seeing you all soon.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye, Larry. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Let me run my outro. Guys, I run this outro for YouTube. I know it doesn't make any sense for Facebook, but here we go.